What I found interesting about this session was that we saw that any way of mediating has a bias, right? So we know about litigation, that you can raise some things and not others, and as we have talked about environmental impact assessment and something else came up. But the real question, of course, is what's the bias of mediation? And I'm sure that those who are always involved in it do have a sense if it's secret or not. And I think it's important because there is no discursive format without a bias. And if we want to rethink deliberative democracy facilitated by your work, then we might as well know what the bias is or discuss it.
I think it's been said in different ways before, but if we have a kind of fundamental bias embedded in the core concept of mediation, it's a bias toward thinking that agreement, consensus is a good thing in principle among, and then we try and frame it around the broad and informed participation. And there's the argument that David and others have made that sometimes having people be well informed and pissed off and not in agreement is also an acceptable and maybe a good outcome. And I think we sometimes have a hard time seeing that. I'm sure that there are more sophisticated comments on bias, but I think that's a core one.
I would venture from a side conversation yesterday before we sat down to dinner that there's a bias in the group and in the form, which I might say a bias for public intelligence. That something will grow out of the conversation, that people can learn and people can transform issues and create things.
Mm-hmm. You need a tool to communicate. And any tool to communicate will allow you to say some things better than other things. If you institutionalize it, if you argue in legal terms, you can argue some cases better than other cases. If you do representative democracy, you can do things better than other things. Well, mediation is another institutional format. I'm sure some things can be done better than other things. And you must know it. You really know it, I'm sure. Because
everything has a bias. All right.
No, because we need it. If you're really serious about the connection between mediation and deliberative democracy, you must answer it.